Maggie. Sure his father's taking care of him.
Maggie!
Did you see something?
I'm the one you want!
Hey guys, what's happening? Niyat here with Film Comics Explained, and as requested, today we're exploring the underrated horror classic, 1988's Pumpkinhead, a Southern Gothic tale of tragedy and horror, directed by special effects master Stan Winston. Pumpkinhead is essentially the ultimate demon of vengeance and the embodiment of hatred, fueled by an unforgiving drive for revenge. Conjured up by the witch Haggis on behalf of anyone with hatred in their hearts, once his targets are marked, there is almost no way that they can escape the monster's grasp. The witch's motives are not entirely known, though she seems largely indifferent to the plight of those who seek her out to summon her buried creature. While she does caution people about the summoning, she's usually sardonic about it. Standing at 9 feet tall, the creature is humanoid in shape with a brown emaciated and almost skeletal body with a visible ribcage. Pumpkinhead's legs are digitigrade and end in 3-toed feet with sharp claws, and the monster has a long powerful tail, 2 spikes on his hips, and 2 large appendages on his shoulders, which, accompanied by his bulbous pumpkin-like head, give him a menacing presence. In addition to his invulnerability, Pumpkinhead is gifted with supernatural strength, speed, a physical link with his summoner, regeneration, sharp claws and teeth, stealth, strong tracking skills, and the ability to call upon powerful storms and winds to rattle his enemies. He's also deceptively intelligent despite his inability to speak, often destroying the vehicles of his victims so they can't escape and using his environment to trap them. He also doesn't just pick off his targets one by one, he goes about it in a rather cruel way, even taunting his victims with the corpses of their friends. As a demon of vengeance, Pumpkinhead clearly enjoys making people suffer sick, painful deaths. He'll also kill anyone that tries to help his targets, something that the local country folk have learnt the hard way. Making a deal with a demon is never simple, so anyone who summons Pumpkinhead suffers too. Their soul is basically sold to Haggis and the demon, and a sort of telepathic connection is forged between them. The summoner will then start to see the vicious murders flash before their eyes, and Pumpkinhead will also feel anything its conjurer feels as well. That basically means that Pumpkinhead will only die if the conjurer is killed, but even then, he'll be resurrected the next time someone calls upon him to exact revenge. This essentially means that Pumpkinhead is immortal. Sure, he can be stopped temporarily, but he'll always return. The movie begins with a flashback to 1957. The Harley family are inside their cabin when frantic knocks and yells for help are heard at the door. The young Ed is frightened, confused, and doesn't understand why his dad won't let the man in. He runs up to the window and sees that his family has been hiding from Pumpkinhead. Jump ahead to the present time, little Ed Harley is now a grown man with his own son named Billy. Meanwhile, a group of city kids come to visit the countryside to go dirt biking together. They seem like a decent enough bunch, except for Joel, who drinks and drives, makes fun of children, and is just generally an asshole.
Gypsy, no.
Check out this kid's glasses. We're talking Coke bottles.
Jesus.
What? All I
We
said was...
heard you, man.
The vacationers stop by Ed's vegetable stand, and while they're there, the local Wallace family stops by. Mr. Wallace leaves his ragamuffin kids by the truck, who all start viciously teasing their younger siblings about Pumpkinhead.
Y'all stop. There ain't no Pumpkinhead.
Bolted doors and windows barred. Your dogs pallet in the yard.
Eventually, one of the city girls gets frightened and asks them to stop. Little does she know just how scary Pumpkinhead really is. Unfortunately, Joel, recklessly zipping around on his dirt bike, hits Billy straight on. Any normal person would call an ambulance immediately, but Joel freaks out.
Hey! Hell do you think you're doing?
You stay on fucking, is that what you want?
Please.
Joel was in another accident a couple months ago and a girl was hurt. He's on probation right now. If the police find out about it...
They're not gonna find out about it.
He rides away, and the others rush to their cabin to call for help, but by the time they get there, Joel has cut the phone line and even locks him in the closet so they can't contact the police. Told you he's a douchebag. Ed then returns to find the injured Billy, who shortly dies, and consumed by anger, he turns to the local witch to summon Pumpkinhead in a ritual. As expected, the creature starts picking off the group one by one, and Ed realizes that he can feel Pumpkinhead's actions himself. Disgusted with the bloodlust, and realizing that this won't help anything, he begs the witch to stop the killing, but she explains that she can't, as that is a power that only Ed has. Ultimately, Ed resolves to shoot himself in order to kill Pumpkinhead and stop the cycle of death, but his attempt fails, forcing Tracy to shoot him. Unfortunately, Ed did not stop the cycle. At the end, the witch is shown burying a new corpse in the pumpkin patch, and around its neck is the necklace that Billy gave to Ed in the beginning of the movie. What this means is that Ed has become a vessel for the demon, and is now paid the ultimate price for his vengeful wishes.
Scare comes from the setup of the unknown and the shock of when it's going to happen. Do you believe it? And do you believe that what it's going to do will harm you or kill you?
Originally, Pumpkinhead was going to be a decapitated corpse with a bewitched jack-o'-lantern for a head, similar to the legend of Sleepy Hollow and Sam from Trick or Treat. When Stan, arguably the greatest creature maker around, was brought on, he decided to go in a more Lovecraftian direction. According to one of the producers, Pumpkinhead's legs were actually the ones that were originally used for the Predator prototypes. The legs didn't end up working for the Predator movie because they were too unwieldy, but they worked perfectly for the creeping, stalking movements of Pumpkinhead. Winston's core team was made up of Shane Mahan, who we've obviously discussed many times, John Rosengrant, Alec Gillis, and Tom Woodruff Jr., who actually portrayed Pumpkinhead. Tom would have to be glued into a foam suit for up to 8 hours at a time, with the sculpted head and body parts added on only when filming is ready. That way, they could preserve the pieces and prevent it from getting any unnecessary wear and tear.
I don't think we realized that Pumpkinhead would become the cult favorite that it became. We were just kind of doing what was fun, and that made it even more rewarding when the film did well for Stan.
For me, one of the most impressive things about the production is how well the crew stretched its meager budget of $3.5 million. With years of experience under his belt, Stan knew what to spend the money on and how to get the most out of everything they built.
People always ask us what our favorite monster was, and you always give them the answer, well, that's like trying to pick your favorite child, but really, my favorite child is Pumpkinhead.
Just don't tell the other kids that.
The urban legend influence, mixed with contemporary slasher conventions, makes Pumpkinhead a standout horror film. The monster effects are a huge part of that appeal, for sure, but the story is compelling, and that spooky countryside setting is the cherry on top for the whole creepy package. Not everything about Pumpkinhead is perfect though. One of the biggest detractors is the acting of some of the city kids. Steve in particular is really bad.
Look, Maggie, look at it. Goes down your street from this? We'll find it now and come back.
Luckily, the final survivors, who we actually see the most, are pretty solid actors, and Lance Henriksen turns out an expectedly great performance as well. Unfortunately, the reviewers at the time of Pumpkinhead's release chose to focus only on the negatives, a common trait with many of the cult classics we've covered on the channel. The movie will essentially be panned by critics and then get a massive critical re-evaluation decades later. The same is true of Pumpkinhead, which is now recognized not only as a great technical achievement, but as a unique story about the strong bond between family. The story highlights the dormant hatred that exists within a parent, and how, when unleashed, brings its bearer to the very rim of hell and its receiver. That's not really something you see in horror movies much. With Ed, you see the full arc of his reactionary lust for blood, followed by his realization that he went too far, and that what he's now doing will achieve nothing. All in all, it's a movie that deserves such an enduring legacy, one that will continue with the upcoming Pumpkinhead reboot. But with all that said, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about Pumpkinhead, so please share that in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, come join our regular streams on Twitch, and yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film and Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.